everyone, and thank you guys for joining me at this is the last session for the week as it relates to HubSpot for SMEs, startups, and entrepreneurs. And as I was trying to say, I didn't realize that something was wrong with the audio. And I'm going to try it with one thing left out. Me clearly correct?
I was hearing you, I think, a little clear before, but we're still hearing you, yes.
All right. Yeah. So one thing that I'm recognizing with these sessions is that the sessions in themselves better understanding as to where some of us are as it relates to our business. And when I say that, a lot of the times the way we started our business is the same way that we've been running the business to date. So if the business started 10, 15, or 11 years ago, 5 years ago, a lot hasn't changed as it relates to how we really try to operate, how we are trying to involve new bits of technology and resources and stuff like that. So which to me is a little bit of a challenge, because as much as they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, sometimes you need to keep adjusting with the times or with the technologies and with the strategies, with the philosophies, methodologies, and everything else to get yourself going in the right direction. And that is the reason why I decided to do HubSpot for entrepreneurs. And there's going to be a broader series, not just on HubSpot, but on sales and marketing philosophies in the coming weeks. But I decided to start with here because really and truly, a lot of us are operating without the right platforms to help us really grow and understand and develop our business. All right. So we'll move forward. So as I was saying earlier, a lot of you all will be familiar with who I am. Over the past 2 years, I've been doing a lot of work with Jared, a lot of work on social media. And anything that you're looking to find out about me, you can definitely get it on LinkedIn, right? But one thing that I was saying from before that a lot of people are not familiar with is that I'm a certified HubSpot solution provider. And the reason why I decided to do that is because I came from Massey Technologies Infocom, 10 years working with them, and then of course a series of other technological based industries. And I really got a good appreciation as to the value of technology in your business, right? Especially now that we are in the 21st century, right? And what I expect to see moving forward and how it's really supposed to build and grow our business. But there are a couple of things with that though. And those things are, a lot of the times we use these pieces of technology, sometimes getting the wrong interpretation, thinking that it's a silver bullet, but it is not a silver bullet. Every bit of tech, as we say sometimes in the tech space, garbage in, garbage out, which means that if we are not doing the right things initially and we're using the tech the wrong way, it's not going to give us the type of results. So what I've found since working with folks who've had HubSpot long before I even interacted with them is that they've been very inactive on the platform. They didn't know how to use the platform. They felt the platform a little bit overwhelming for them. And those are some of the words that they used. Hence the reason why I decided that, you know what, I think a little bit of a broader education as to, yes, people have an interest in what CRM is, but they can't seem to get past just the initial stages of moving forward with the platform and getting it to really work for them. But today we're talking a little bit about entrepreneurship, and I want to align a little bit of what we are talking about into my story as well. So as you would see here that it's written where I say, coming from a secure corporate background of 17 years, being an entrepreneur still amazes me because I came from a very comfortable space. There was no reason for me to leave my job, right? I was actually in a pretty good trajectory if I was taking the standard flow of things. However, I felt as though I wanted to do something more and be of a greater impact to more people and maybe have a little bit more fun and redefine myself. So I decided to take the little ideas that I've been developing in my head since 2014 and jump out, as we say, and try this thing called entrepreneurship. And this is where I am now, but I would definitely say that over the past over 24 months, it has not been an easy road, right? To give you a little bit of a background as to my entrepreneurial journey, I've done many different things. I've sold a number of different things. I've sold Amway, I've sold clothes, shoes, handbags, watches, advertising space. A friend of mine, we were trying to put together a magazine. The magazine was supposed to be around music and entertainment, but we were really trying to sell ad space within the magazine. I've sold services like what I'm doing now. I've even taken the opportunity to start up my own little distribution where I was actually bringing stock in. And one or two friends, they excuse me, they saw the opportunity to earn some money. So I started to move from being an actual salesperson in terms of selling directly to distribution. So I was delivering stuff to folks in Arima and La Hocketa and stuff like that. So I've always had some sort of entrepreneurial journey long before I maybe even understood the word entrepreneurship, because I was never really looking at it like that. I just wanted to maybe earn some income. I saw an opportunity to sell something, and that's what I did, because I was doing that while I had my day-to-day job. But a couple of things that I realized as soon as I started to become a full-time entrepreneur, that I want to just go through the journey with other entrepreneurs here. And I know that some of you guys are seasoned in the business, right? Some of you all have been in the business for a little while. And one of my major realizations is that entrepreneurship isn't easy, right? Whether it is that you're a full-time entrepreneur, entrepreneurship is a side hustle, or you're still thinking about it. One thing that I've actually realized that it is not an easy road being an entrepreneur. Even if it is that you're in the space of insurance or in the space of real estate or you're on a full-blown type commission, you're technically an entrepreneur. You're salespeople. Entrepreneurs are salespeople. Salespeople are entrepreneurs, and you earn your own income, but you also have to be very creative as it relates to what it is that you do, who your customers are. Your business acumen has to accelerate extremely quickly, right? Excuse me. So with that, I've also then recognized that moving from, in this whole entrepreneurial journey, moving from idea to developing a legitimate business, which is what all of us wants to do. We all want to have a legitimate business, right? We don't want to be a startup forever. That is sometimes an enigma. We don't have all the pieces, right? We want to move from having the idea and then building it into a strategy so that we be able to get some kind of income and then eventually grow and expand in many different areas. And as much as you see the nice little puzzle on the left hand side, sometimes we may still be putting the pieces together years after we initially got that certificate, or years after we opened our doors for trading, sorry. So the main thing with that is that sometimes our organization is off, because here's the thing, whether it is, again, whether you're doing it full-time or you're doing it part-time, we have a lot of different things that we have to juggle as an entrepreneur, right? We have this brand that we want to build. Everybody is now doing a lot of branding, so with doing the branding, you're putting yourself out there on social media. From doing social media, you want to be able to attract the right customers. And yes, you may start doing that in the beginning. People may start asking you questions, right? So you have to now respond to them, maybe send them a quotation and do other things via email. Or you may have to make one or two follow-up calls after you send out that email to the customer, right? Some customers may want you to meet them directly, but then you also want to fight up and close the business. And then let's say, for instance, based upon the structure of your business, if your business is online, or online type business, is a totally different dynamic as well. But then, of course, you also have your administrative things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis. But most importantly, you have to bring up the bacon. You have to bring in the revenue, right? So our role as entrepreneurs, this is like a little example of the average day or average month of an entrepreneur. These are all the things that we have to do sometimes. And while we all trying to do this thing about branding on social media, it's sometimes very, very scattered. The other thing that we kind of lost and all over the place with is really the tools that we're using, right? Yes, some of us have or do not have a website, right? Some of us are using our emails as a standard Outlook. Some of us are capturing information in Excel. Some of us are using our MailChimp to stay communicated and send stuff out to customers, right? We also have some of us really using note-taking apps like Evernote, Gmail, which also carries notes as well. You're using things like Calendly, or now we're using a lot of Zoom, Then we also have WhatsApp. A lot of us are doing business on WhatsApp. I saw someone from John Dickinson yesterday, indicating that they're taking orders now via WhatsApp. Yeah. Slack for Teams. Many different bits of technologies coming out. And it's sometimes hard for us to understand which ones we need to be using, which ones are most impactful for our business. If I didn't mention the website there again, the website is also an integral part because that is your head office, right? But how do we comprise all of that into one? Here's something else. Where am I? Some entrepreneurs, because I've met a number of you within the last couple of years. You guys have some amazing, amazing ideas. Like ridiculously amazing. Like sometimes when I talk to an entrepreneur and I hear what they want to do and how they want to go about getting it done and the outcome, that the impact and the outcome and everything else, I get excited because I definitely want to work and coach with you all. But a big thing that's missing is structure. And the lack of the structure or the lack of a process is a struggle. And again, we're doing this sometimes while we're doing our day job. Or we're doing this while we're trying to make ends meet. Because if you're doing it full time, one of the main things that's in your mind all the time is, where am I getting the income at the end of the month? And sometimes that is such a main focus that you forget to do many other things. And that, to me, is one of the biggest areas that we tend to sometimes fall apart on. Hence the reason why we scramble with tools. We're not exactly sure as to what we need to be doing next, right? So if you guys agree with me, so let me ask you this: how many of you all agree with what is it that I would have said so far? I want you all to leave not even so much of a comment, but just put a yes down to the bottom within the first few slides that I've gone through. Let me know as to what your feedback is based upon what I've touched on there so far. So we have Kevin. Yes, Kevin is actually saying yes. Kwame is saying yes, that is true. So again, we're beginning to see a general consensus, right? So what I really wanted to bring to you guys here today is this. You have many different options that we can use to help put structure back in our day-to-day. And the one area, the one tool that I definitely want to be able to share with you guys today is HubSpot. Everything, every little graphical icon that I just shared with you all earlier through those 6 or 7 slides, all factors in to this particular tool called HubSpot. Every single thing. HubSpot is exactly what it is. HubSpot is a hub for all things being considered as it relates to people's business. Whether it is you're looking for emails, you're looking at your things like your email marketing, you want to do things like Google Forms, you're building something out of Excel, you want to bring it into a particular platform. But it's really and truly a customer relationship platform. And that is the most important part, excuse me, the most important part of what we need to pay attention to, because without our customers, then we don't have a business. All this brand and stuff that we want to be doing and putting stuff out there on social media, without the customers or things like a profile of your customer, you're not really going to be very successful. You have nobody to sell to, or you'll just be very, very scattered as it relates to developing the right business structure. Interestingly enough, is that HubSpot allows us or facilitates us in terms of developing a process, developing a sales strategy, developing a marketing strategy, putting structure in our day so that we can now handle all of these tasks and give us the right reminders at the right time, give us the right information, the right analytics that's required as it relates to how we do our job. It all falls into an inbound strategy. And the reason why I'm saying inbound in this instance, and then there are a couple of us that have sales teams, but most of us, especially for those of us that are entrepreneurs, we're doing this thing on our own, right? So for us, we have to develop a strategy where we are doing things to pull customers in, but we are also analyzing the customers. So when we do our outreach with the customers, right, it is properly managed. For those of us with sales teams as well, yes, we have to do our inbound strategy. It's part of our sales process. But now you can use, we're using the tool of HubSpot to help do not just the inbound, but to help our salespeople who are now out there on the field do better field work. And look at it like this, right? How is it that we can actually now take the right kind of analytics and make particular calls with a customer? Right now, we don't know what kind of traffic is happening on our websites or social media platforms, all right? But the thing is that the tool of HubSpot gives us the ability to understand that. The process is this: we must be able to do certain things that helps us attract customers. There's certain sales and marketing activities that has to develop an attraction phase. From there, we move into engagement. From there, we move to commitment. And from there, we move into measuring. That entire process, a sales professional, an entrepreneur can build into their business model, and HubSpot helps you facilitate those things. So look at it like this, right? So before we were talking about people who were having challenges in terms of managing their tasks, managing their day. Funny enough, I had someone call me yesterday. He's actually been on a number of the webinars so far for this week, and including the one that we did earlier in the month of April. And he actually got a call, right? He said, Lyndon, he said, boy, I got this call from a customer, and he said I was going to write it down in my book. He said, but Lyndon, Leslie, you don't have to write that down in your book anymore. Lyndon just spoke about HubSpot, because one of his challenges is that he was afraid of forgetting that he had to do the follow-up, because the follow-up is due in a couple of weeks. But sometimes you write it down in your book, and you may have to tie a string on your finger to know that you need to remember to go back and check the book so you can call the customer. A lot of the times too, we have a lot of fancy devices and we don't really use them properly. And I think I want to make a testament to that as it relates to HubSpot or no HubSpot. Even for some of us, we have our phones and we still don't use it properly. We have to be able to use the technology. We're kind of drifting back into where HubSpot is. HubSpot for him, after these sessions that we've been able to do, and any manager or any person who's really serious, any entrepreneur who's really serious about properly managing their day-to-day tasks, HubSpot gives you the ability to do those things. So I did a screenshot here of the backend on my area to give you guys an idea as to what does a task page look like, both for either for your team or for yourself. What is going to happen with this is that this is going to bring up a list of all the things that you need to do, or all the phone calls you need to make, or all the emails that you need to make. But there must be a discipline in terms of inputting the information. Remember, as I was saying from before, garbage in, garbage out. If you're not putting anything in, then you're definitely going to forget to call that customer. But what I bet your bottom dollar that once you start doing it and inputting the information, it is going to remind you at the right time as to what needs to get done and when, right? On the left-hand side is actually giving you, on the right-hand side is actually giving you a breakdown as to what is it that you need to be doing or what is due at particular times. Here's another thing that we actually get to use the platform for to help us be better at what we do as entrepreneurs. We get to have a better understanding as to the interaction, the level of interaction. So yes, we know that we want to have customers, right? But from the day that I have this customer, how engaged is this customer with me or with my team? Or what have been some of the things that I've been doing to keep this customer engaged? Let's say, for instance, and this is just an example here, right? We have this guy called Lyndon Bradford, who's a managing director. And I have services that I want to provide to him. I have products that I want to sell to this individual. But at this particular time, they're not ready. Then what is my process of nurturing this customer? Is there a process of nurturing the customer? And that falls back into that sales philosophy of attract, engage, commit, measure, because you need to be able to nurture your customers who may not be ready right now. But you need to have a platform that will help you nurture. So in an instance like this, let's say, for instance, I'm doing these webinars and Lyndon Bradford is coming to the webinars. What do you think is happening there? I am building, I'm showing and sharing the expertise beforehand. So by the time he is ready, there's a lot of things that you would have done as an entrepreneur that you would have already built the trust capital with the customer, or answered a number of the customer's questions, because some customers have time now. Some customers do have the time now to sit down and, participate and look at what is it they would want to be investing in the future. With this, as you would see in the center screenshot, it is actually letting me know this person's activity, not even from the standpoint of a website, but just from what my team or what I am sending out to them. Are they opening up my emails? Are they opening up my my email marketing campaigns? Excuse me. Right? So from the first time that a customer interacts with you, HubSpot captures that information to give you a little bit more information. And for those of us that are using, because Karen talks about this all the time, right? For those of us that that have a website and are using the website correctly, not just as a static website. If you have a client that is engaged with your website over 15 times, or let's say for instance you're selling product, or let's say for instance you're providing a service there, but you see that the customers come back a couple of times and reading through certain things, then there's a reason for that, and it means that there's something about what is it that you have that is capturing that customer's attention. As I was saying yesterday or the day before, that means that you're no longer making cold calls. You are already warming that customer up. And guess what? You're warming them up to what? To your brand. Remember, we were talking about branding from before. But you're providing information, you're educating from front, and you're engaging at an early stage. Let's take a look at something else. For those of us, again, there are a number of people that are on social media talking about things like customer profiles and buying personas. That's great. But how are you defining that and capturing it? Yeah. For me, I use HubSpot to create segmentations. It's not in the screenshot here, but I use HubSpot to build out segmentations from industry to seniority in terms of an organization. But I've also been able to share with some of my clients how they can drill a little bit deeper in terms of their segmentation. I'll use an example, let's say for instance, as it relates to insurance. If someone is at a particular portfolio, let's say they have a particular level within an organization, then that means they may be able to spend at a higher portfolio. I can now use that profile or build a profile that's specific to them and look for customers that fall into that category. And here's the thing with that. My email marketing campaigns would now be different because now I will segment them within HubSpot so that when I'm pushing information to that demographic or that audience, the information will be specific to them. Again, because a lot of the times what we do is that we use one email marketing campaign, load up 1,000 contacts and just blast everybody with it. But then you'll recognize that maybe your open rates are low. And not even your open rates. After a while, in the beginning, you would normally get traction. But after a while, when customers realize that a lot of this isn't relevant to them, then they would not open your email. They may start unsubscribing. They may start putting you in spam, which, by the way, are things that HubSpot actually captures in the back end. So as soon as a customer puts you in spam or they've unsubscribed, you get to see what that is. But why would that be important for you? Because you now get to understand, again, from the customer relationship standpoint, what is it? Why did I lose that customer from my email marketing campaign? Is it that what I had to sell to them or what I was trying to get across to them wasn't relevant? Is maybe not this time? And what is your strategy now to start warming that customer back up? Or do you just leave them and allow them to go elsewhere? All right. And I'm saying this because you can either be in a B2C, which is business to consumer, retail type standpoint. If I'm selling cars, I can do this. If I have a customer let's say for instance, I'm selling a 4x4 pickup. A 4x4 pickup is a particular style. It is also, excuse me, it is also a particular price point. I can create a profile to match the 4x4 pickup that I want to sell. Yeah. So there are a number of things that you can do by building it right within your HubSpot platform. Here's something that I was really impressed with seeing. The other thing is that, again, in terms of putting structure in our day, we also get the ability to do certain things like building workflows. All right. I'm building the workflow. For instance, the one to the middle was a colleague of mine who just started HubSpot. And when I was showing her, what happened is that she actually saw Jared doing something, who's also a user. And she asked, how did you do that? Because what we were able to do is build a form to promote something that she wanted to promote, right? And she was able to push it out to that specific demographic, that audience, that client profile. So she knew exactly who she wanted to get it out to. But again, the way of getting it out there wasn't systematic, and it also wasn't digital. So what I was able to do was show how to develop a workflow by building forms. You guys would see what this form looks like. So I would have built a form, excuse me, if you're seeing the first image to the front, and then it flows straight into an email marketing campaign to the back. Why? Because I have the ability of capturing that information. And when I push the email marketing campaigns out, where do you think some of that is going? Some of that is on my website, right? Some of that is out there on social media. Plus, I also get to understand how a customer is using that. Now, again, for me as an entrepreneur, I need to be maximizing every single tool that I could use. So far we talk about at least being organized, so I don't forget shit. Excuse my language, sorry. Right? So I don't forget stuff. So I need to be able to be organized. The other one is now also having a strategy. Now, what strategy am I using? Am I using an outbound strategy? Am I using an inbound strategy? Am I using both? And if I'm using both, who am I pushing that to? Again, it's not about selling for selling's sake. We need to be able, if we're building a business, every product, service, or solution has a buyer. Is that buyer built into your CRM? Even if you're not using a CRM, your salespeople and you as an entrepreneur need to understand who are my ideal customers. It's just that now when you have a platform to use that within, you can now start looking at, the level of engagement from your ideal customers. And if you realize that who you thought was your ideal customers, you're getting little or no traction, then it gives you the ability to revisit, because a lot of the times we're doing this work ad hoc. We're doing it on the fly. Yes, we have a lot of intuition, which is great. But sometimes when you have the data gives you the ability to say, I really think that we're missing something in our approach. The first screenshot to the side there was me using a strategy where I would have done a survey. I didn't do that one in SurveyMonkey. I did that one in Google Forms, right? But that was able to help me build a report. And now I'm using that as a strategy to allow people to do a download. That download in itself supports a strategy of inbound. And if it is that I see customers are engaging with either the blog or they're engaging with the downloaded material, then I would know what service or solution might be best for that particular customer. As it relates with here, if we look at the first one up to the top in terms of the source by submission, again, how about us having a better understanding of all of our efforts? Again, as entrepreneurs, we need to be able to assess. Large organizations should be the only type of organizations that is doing analytics and understanding charts. No, our business requires that type of information to be able to work with properly. So by putting out a form, by putting email marketing, by leaving things out there on social media, you get to understand now who is interacting with what, and also which source. Because remember, as I was saying, in terms of building your brand and you're putting your information out there, you're using your social media, then where's all of that traffic coming from? Is it coming from referral sites? Is it coming from people hitting my website directly? Is it coming from social media? Is it offline, or is it email marketing? Again, and if based upon the success rate of each, you could understand, what do I stop doing, or where do I put more of my efforts? Right now, we may go on a whim, because a lot of the times, a lot of that information is captured where? In an Excel sheet. But now you can take that same Excel sheet and upload it, whether the customers would have opted out or they would have fully subscribed. You now have that information. You now have the ability of assessing all of that. What about when you send customers an email and you want to know if they would have opened the email or not? Well, now you have a little bit of insight. You don't have to ask a customer to give you back a read receipt. It tracks all of that for you. And if it is, let's say for instance, they have opened it and there are documents built within there, you get the ability to see how engaged they are with your documentation. So you would know if they would have read your pricing page and how long they stayed on the pricing page, or if they read what your solution is. Because I'll tell you this, man, I have had many instances where both within Massey and corporate, and then on my own as an entrepreneur. As a matter of fact, this happened to me with a financial institution last year as an entrepreneur. I'm being called in to discuss my proposal, right? And when I go in to discuss the proposal, my first question, have you guys read the proposal? And the answer was, well, we just kind of skimmed through it, that's why we called you in. So then I had to start again all over. But you see, those things are little indications as to how engaged the customers are. But if I had that information from up front, I could have taken a different approach and maybe made a call from up front to say, listen, these are the things I want to discuss. I want you to pay attention to specific pages in the proposal. Again, it's all engagement, it's all strategy, but you are not operating blindly as it relates to how a customer is or is not engaged with your platform. The last one down to the bottom really represents what's most important to us. We're doing this thing so we can get, we're not just doing it. Yes, we're doing it because we love it, but a lot of the times we're doing it because we want to earn the extra income, or it is the only income that we have. So how are you using a tool to measure your progress, to measure where am I as it relates to how many quotations do I have outstanding? Are we even paying attention to those things? Or can we remember how many quotations that we have that's outstanding, right? Excuse me. This is where the deal forecast within HubSpot gives you an understanding as to where most of my business is. How much quotations do I have out? Do I need to revise the quotation? How much business I would have lost? How much sales activity what I have had during the course of the month? And again, if we go back up to the top, where is it coming from? Where did most of my sales activity come from? Because mind you, if it is that you have an online store, let's say for instance, you're running WooCommerce or Shopify, HubSpot ties into that because of its level of integration within the platform. Right? We're looking at over 200 or 300 different applications that it ties into to be able to give whatever your business is, the kind of feedback that is required for you. So I want to give you an idea as to what one or two users have been saying, right? You guys may or may not know this person, but this is Tisha, right? And Tisha, she's actually our events management coordinator for the Sales and Profession Conference. But Tisha is a user of HubSpot, and I've been asking her as to what are some of the things that you've actually liked about the platform to date. And she said, listen, HubSpot has presented itself to me as a one-stop shop to help me manage and communicate better with our customers. As an entrepreneur, some tasks tend to go on the back burner when it seems like too much time. It's going to take too much time to get done. However, and as I would have said earlier, sometimes it's those tasks that you lose business on because you forget. I've had those instances as a sales professional throughout my life. I forget to send a quote or forget to respond to a customer or call the client. Guess what? The customer ain't waiting for me, you know. The customer would have called somebody else or they went elsewhere. And those things hurt me in my gut sometimes. When I hear sales professionals say stuff like that, boy, we didn't call the man, boy, and the guy went to buy something somewhere else. Those things, that is almost like scrolling your blood. But you all also know this guy, Karen, right? Karen has become a bit of an advocate as it relates to HubSpot. Not just so much so because of the business, but because of the analytics that he gets, because he's looking at certain things on the back end with his business. So while I was asking him, and this actually came from a WhatsApp conversation that we had, and he was saying, yeah, the reconversions, which is the consistent engagement. So every time Karen does a session, whether it's online or through his website, he gets notifications to say, listen, this customer is pretty engaged. They've reconverted. So a reconversion will be every time they've, let's say, for instance, signed up to come back to something else. Now, what would be your trigger? If you have a customer coming back 2, 3, 4, 5 times to get more information, that means that they're definitely engaged. Would you now be able to now assign your sales team or now you put a pricing strategy towards them to say, listen, I've noticed that, how have you, what was your take on the different areas of content received from the different webinars? And based upon what they say, then you can now say, well, again, how about me helping you with some of the things that you wanna try to achieve. Again, that is no longer a warm engagement because you can actually now build certain structures, on the back end of HubSpot that it gives you those reports to say, listen, you have a customer that is consistently engaging with your consistently engaging with your content wherever your content is, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on Facebook. Because once they fill out something, once they interact, yesterday within yesterday in the not yesterday, day before, when I was doing the marketing, HubSpot for marketing and marketing departments, I was talking about something called Google and Facebook pixels, and how the Facebook pixel actually tracks the entire interaction of that customer or that profile of customer from your website or on your social media or on your Facebook page. And I was actually showing that you can actually build a profile within the backend of HubSpot, and you can spread it across different regions. So I was showing that I have a profile, a Facebook pixel profile that's built into Guyana, Jamaica, St. Lucia. Again, it's all based upon your business, it's based upon your structure. And I am just testing to see the size of the demographic, because guess what? I want to try to take my business regional. But I already have a profile. And based upon that profile, how many people are that are actually out there that can interact and engage with my business? What is your potential, the total market value of where it is I want to go? And then from there, I can drill down from the total market size, then to say, you know what, this is how much I think I can squeeze out of this department, or this is not department, or this particular market or this demographic. And this is maybe the immediate serviceable size that I want to be able to capture coming out of it. So for us as entrepreneurs, as I said, my goal here today was really to give you guys a little bit more insight as to why a platform like this is important to us, is important to our business. I wouldn't even be going into the back end a lot today, all right, and as it relates to doing a back end demo and walking it through, because of the fact that all of those screenshots come from the 3 most important areas in HubSpot, or 4 most important areas within HubSpot. 1, your dashboard and your analytics tool. 2, your sales platform. 3, your marketing platform. And there's also a serviceable platform there as well. If, let's say, for instance, you have a service-oriented business, right? You can actually now have service tickets built in or left on your website, or you can have a form that you create out where customers fill out or leave service-related forms, right? And you can put that on your social media platforms via Linktree or whatever it is that you decide to use. And once the customer fills it out, it falls straight into your CRM, and you can action your team, you can action yourself. It doesn't matter. The goal behind it is, guys, is that you now have something to help you better structure, because a lot of the times, as I've said before, we are all over the place. We're bouncing around in different areas. I have done it before I became a partner. I was actually with 2 partners from before, well, 1 partner before HubSpot. And I knew how sketchy it was, because I had stuff written down in a notebook. I had stuff on my phone. But again, I didn't have the data and the analytics on the back end to help me understand as to how this, as to how engaged this customer is with my content. I want to go back and give you a story on something. So I was talking about here, right? And here's this. So when I first started to use this first image, and actually I was supposed to give this story when the slide came up and it slipped me. So this one with this pretty young lady into the front here was done. This was for, are you starting a career in insurance? And I did this specifically for the demographics. I was profiling, I profiled insurance companies. I did my research, and I felt, okay, I wrote this blog to point it to a specific group. And I also did another blog. I did 2. I did one that spoke about customer engagement. And what happened is that I took this out and I sent it to one. I sent it to one mass email in the beginning, and I got little or no traction with it. And the very next day, I said, you know what? Let me try something different. And I took the customer engagement one out. Same thing with the one from insurance. And I pointed it specifically to insurance companies. The first one was generic. I sent it to everybody. Again, I'm A/B testing. So I'm testing which one or which strategy works best. And the second one, what happened is that I sent that out on a Thursday. Again, it was written specific for a specific audience. I sent it out on a Thursday just around 9 a.m. Within 2 hours, let's say around 11 o'clock, I get a call from a large organization right here in Trinidad and Tobago telling me, listen, that blog that you wrote, and I'm asking them, well, which blog specifically you're speaking about? They said, so I'm thinking it was the insurance blog. They said, no, not the insurance blog. They want a customer engagement. We need support as it relates to that. Can you come and have a discussion with our general staff. So they were having a general staff meeting. So I'm saying, okay, sure, I'll definitely love to do that. Because a blog, a strategy that I use from right within HubSpot, right? Wrote the blog on my website, built the email marketing campaign, ran the link from the website into the email marketing campaign and pushed it out to a specific demographic, gave me my first speaking opportunity, my first paid speaking opportunity. Here's the other thing with that though. After, like some months after that, I am now in consultation with the customer to now do a broader exercise about rolling out customer engagement strategies within their organization. The size of their organization is about 30 something branches. That was never on my radar, but I consistently kept using HubSpot, using the email marketing platforms, making my notes, paying attention as to what was important. So I eventually knew, based upon the different people, the different levels that I was engaging with, who I needed to send emails to. And some of them, they may not read the emails because, you know, their ages, they may not be up on the text. So I will send it to one younger guy and I'll say, hey, could you make sure so-and-so reads this? He say, yeah, Lyndon, I read this thing. This was pretty good. So I use the platform to maintain, to stay relevant, as it relates to when this customer, and I was saying that from before, the customer wasn't ready at the time. After we did the engagement, which was maybe September, after we did the engagement, sorry, it was July. After we did the engagement and I did the speaking engagement with them, that was it. A couple of the conversations that I tried to have with them, they were not ready. But I didn't just allow them to come back to me because they would have forgotten. I used the email marketing to stay engaged and nurture with the customer, but I also used it from a strategic standpoint. So I was paying attention to every time that person did or did not open an email. And if they didn't open it, I used someone else at a lower level to get the information out to the customer. Hence the reason why I'm receiving, that level of engagement to look at 31 branches. How many of us are using a strategy with the data to give us that type of feedback? Yeah. So my main point on this is, guys, is that one of the key things with HubSpot is that it's a platform, and I try to really temper people's level of excitement sometimes with it, because yes, it takes away so many things that you may find yourself eliminating the need to use other messaging apps because, or note-taking apps, because HubSpot, because it's so versatile within the platform, you realize, wait a minute, I don't need to use those other things. I can just have a full conversation with my team and with my customer from right here. The thing is though, is that it's not your silver bullet. You have to have a strategy. And again, I would always stress on the fact that, and I know Karen does a hard job sometimes in making sure that everyone understands the importance of being online, but not just being online, but being able to be found well enough online, right? So that you are now pushing strong, hardcore social, digital strategies, because once HubSpot tags into that, and yes, you don't have to have a HubSpot. You don't have to have a website to be using HubSpot. But because I have you guys and your attention right now, I'm making sure that I stress that this is something that you should have. It's one of your tools in your arsenal, one of your main tools in your arsenal as it relates to stepping your game up. But don't just have a website for having a website's sake. Use it in such a strategic way that it falls in the back end of a platform like this and really compounds what your strategy should be. And everything else, everything as along the lines as to relate to understanding your tasks and on your customers and your customer profiles, it's just going to make you a much better entrepreneur and help you work towards growing and building your business, right? So I want to now open it up a little bit for feedback, and I'm not sure as to how many existing HubSpot users I may have. All right, because I didn't want to do it as a HubSpot tutorial because of the fact that it is very in-depth. Because I have such a diverse group here, I'll be going all over the place. But what I did do, as I said, I pulled specific screenshots out So let me see if I can answer a couple of questions. Does this allow for automation, aka automating an entire onboarding process for new clients? So the answer to your question, Latina, is yes. You have something called sequencing, and you can build a sequence to either do a couple of things. You can customize a sequence. So you can build a sequence for prospecting, and you can build a sequence for onboarding. Because you can build the sequence by using the templates that HubSpot provides, or you can just go through the process of creating your sequence from scratch, which will indicate what emails you need to send out when. But of course, those things wouldn't be, it could be automated or pre-developed email marketing campaigns that you want to send out at a particular time, or it could be structured emails that you can use for new clients. There's something within there as well that's called snippets. Let's say, for instance, customers are always asking me, or I have a specific set of questions that I need to ask customers. I'll use it two ways. I can use a snippet and build the snippet out from before. And once I use, let's say, a hashtag discovery call, I can pull that up so that I can either use it to send it to the customer so that they will answer to me, or I can use it while in a discovery call with a customer, because of the fact that, it will just present the information and I can plug in the information after, right? So you can use it two ways. So that's snippets, and that is your sequencing. You can also use different things along the lines of automation. So kind of expanding on the automation part of it here for folks who have different types of businesses. So automation also falls into a different tool called Zapier. And I have to say, excuse my co-host, which is the dog, my neighbor's dog next door. All right. So Zapier is one of those tools that helps, it interconnects with things like, let's say, for instance, you're using Wave accounting solution. You can use Zapier to help you build let's say, for instance, you have an invoice to send to a customer, Zapier would help you immediately build that as a deal, and that falls straight into your deals for HubSpot. So they can track all of your deals and understand, okay, well, how many opportunities you would have closed at what particular time. Let's say, for instance, you're doing a survey, post or pre-engagement, and you want to be able to capture the emails from the customer. Well, again, Zapier, through that level of automation, gives you the ability to create the automation between HubSpot and things like Google Forms, as to where, as soon as the customer fills out the form and they plug in the email, it falls straight in as the contact. You'd have to go back and ask them for that again. And based upon, again, the profile of that person, you can create segments, right? So I have segmentations built in for CEOs. I have segmentations built in for HR, for entrepreneurs, for HubSpot users, for non-HubSpot users, for automotive salespeople, for insurance. So I know, based upon what their profile is, that profile falls into a number of areas for me. It falls into my HubSpot forms. It falls into my Google Forms. Once they fill it out, I know which bucket I can put those people in. Tanisha Kwamina is saying, do you provide individual tutorials? Yes, I do. And do you have a documented tutorial to share? I don't have a documented tutorial to share because, again, how should I say this, boy? Everybody's business is different. So I really take the time to spend time and just understand what people's business is all about. A documented tutorial is very generic, and that's what you can find on HubSpot.com, right? And it's all based upon what the tutorial is. I personally pay attention to your business. So when I'm looking at what your business is, if your business is in financial services, and you need to break your structure out in a particular way, you will tend to find me asking you questions as to, okay, so if it is that you have this, you have the information, what do you do with it? Because my background is really understanding processes. So understanding a sales process, a customer process, the buying process, and I really try to work on helping customers map that out. And so with a standard one, I would normally say, yes, I can find it for you and I can push it to you for HubSpot. But when it comes to looking at one that's specific to your business and helping you craft that flow out, or helping you map it properly within HubSpot, that is what I pay a little bit of attention to. Does HubSpot offer pre-existing templates or for marketing? Yes. So for marketing and forms, yes. So you have about 5 templates, and they have, and again, so HubSpot goes in tiers. A lot of what I showed you there You get a lot of that for free. So I would always say it's something that you guys should take advantage of, even for now. Maximize what you get on the free platform, right? And HubSpot gives you the ability, you can have 1 million contacts within HubSpot and 2,500 users. So you can have a team of 2,500 people and 1 million contacts. We know that as a stretch for anybody, right? But at the end of the day, a lot of the things that I spoke about here is for free. Where does the spend come in HubSpot is where you have to now go towards doing you have certain areas of capacity. So let's say, for instance, when you start looking at your templates, I've seen some of my customers, they're already maxing out their templates because, again, they are now understanding, wait a minute, I can use these templates for different things, but your templates comes in series of 5s. So after you max out maybe about 5 of your templates, then you may have to go to HubSpot or sales or marketing starter, where they open it up and they give you, let's say, for instance, 25, all right? In terms of each of your steps. So, but to answer the question specifically, yes, you have templates. Even for Latina's first question as to your sequences, you have templates for sequences as well, or you can build it from scratch. Because again, everybody's business is different, so you can customize. Okay, so I have a lot more questions speeding up here. So let me just try to jump into it. We have, all right, so I'm in the process of creating lists. And this is Brent. So I'm in the process of creating lists for contacts now, so I can effectively create marketing campaigns tailored to various needs. I would consider myself a HubSpot newbie, but he said he's actually loving the software. So let me give you an idea as to what that is and as to how creative that is for Brent. And I have one or two other clients who are also in the space of real estate. I'm a real estate agent. And I have many different products, many different listings showing up. But I have a client who I have customers that's varied. So I have customers who have budgets of 800,000, and they maybe look so I can create a list for customers or a demographic or a profile for that type of customer that's there. Or I may have a customer, they don't know what their budget is, but they know that they want a 3-bedroom in Chaguanas. That, so again, so you can create your profile for customers, and then you can create a list. Here's what the sweet part about the list. When you're creating your email marketing campaigns, your email marketing campaign will not go to someone who has a $800,000 budget for $100,000 for $1 million listing. They can't afford it. They're off by 200K. Right? But because you've taken the time to create a list, and what Brent can do now, he can now go and say, listen, I am looking at all of my customers who have a budget. And again, that's the thing too. You can choose how you want to create your profiles for your customers. So while you are qualifying your customer and taking certain information from your customer, and if one of your questions is, well, how much have you been pre-qualified for? And the customer says 800K, he can create a category for that and put that in a bucket. So when he's creating that filter or that list, he will say, show me a filter on my list for all of my customers who are 800K and less. And that will bring up everybody. And he will know what he needs to push. And that could go for rental. And if it can go for his outright purchases. Excuse me. Does it integrate with SurveyMonkey, or does it have its own independent survey platform? So the answer to the question is yes, it integrates with SurveyMonkey. It integrates with your Google Forms. And the nice thing with SurveyMonkey is that once you send it out, so once you create, what is the name of it? Once you use the email collector in SurveyMonkey, where it captures email addresses and you send it out to your base, it will immediately fall into your CRM. Here's the sweet part about it. Let me see if I can just switch back here quickly while I'm talking about it. So before I was showing you guys some customer interaction. So in this page here, you will see, instead of form submitted, you will see the customer would have answered the questions. And then you could have actually drilled down to see what questions that they would have answered, right? That is key, because let's say, for instance, you have a customer who wasn't happy with something. Then what happens there, is that you can now say, listen, we had a customer who had a concern with question 5, or a customer responded this way to question 5. You may not want to just let the customer know, because you responded to this, we want to make sure that we taking care of that. But you would know that, okay, this list of customers are the customers who has the concerns, or this list of customers are the customers who are advocates for us, right? And you would know, again, it's all dependent upon a strategy. Remember, HubSpot is not your silver bullet. HubSpot supports your business strategy. It supports your goals in everything that you're trying to do. So all of the information and the data that you have, that you've collected, or that you will continue to collect, you have the ability of using it to be very, very strategic in your work. Even for my folks who are into, what you call it, virtual assistants, you can create your own profile and the type based upon your level of services, because I don't know, maybe not all virtual assistants might be the same, but if I provide this type of service and I'm realizing customers are asking me for X, I can create profiles for that. You know, so I mean, there's so many different things that you can do. Sorry, yeah, there's so many things that you can do as it relates to creating respective profiles to be a lot more strategic, as it relates to your your business strategy, which is right here. You understand? So attract, engage, commit, measure. And the measure part is where your SurveyMonkey falls into place, and the attraction part is where everything from the front, from your website, from your SEO, from your social media campaigns, from your LinkedIn strategies, your Facebook strategies, all of that falls right within there, and HubSpot captures all of that moving forward. I'm not sure if there's any other. All right. Did I miss a question for anybody? Can you create landing pages within HubSpot? Yes, you can create landing pages within HubSpot, but it starts at HubSpot Starter. And HubSpot Starter is $30 US, and you're doing that on the marketing platform. The price point, I'll give you guys a nice thing, right? Coming back from inbound last year, excuse me, we fall into the Latin and the Latin American region. And what HubSpot has been doing a lot is really looking at growing the user base here in the Caribbean and also within the Latin American region. So if any of you go on to HubSpot, you will see a shift in price points. And because of the fact that we are in now the Latin American region, you will see that there's currently a promotion running, especially for your marketing platforms, at $30 US. You get the full CRM, right? Because the CRM is always going to be free. However, you get the additional functionalities of creating bigger lists, right? So you can go up to 25 lists, get more analytics as it relates to your marketing platform. But as it relates to that, yes, you can create your landing pages, but your landing pages starts at HubSpot Starter in the Marketing Hub. But is there anything else? Oh, excuse me. And well, of course, Gina is saying she's been using HubSpot since October, and definitely seeing the value. Right? Does HubSpot offer offline access across all devices in the unlikely event of power failure? No, it is all. So that to answer that question, everything is all online based. It's a full cloud-based solution. Excuse me. And the good thing thus far, this is from my experiences, every time that they have a challenge with their how should I say, their platform, because it's technology, stuff happens, right? Or let's say, for instance, one of their third parties. So let's say, I think where may that be? That may be things like Calendly, Asana, whoever it is, Zoom, because I think there was a Zoom notification that came up in HubSpot recently. If any platform or HubSpot, the platform itself, is having a challenge, you get a notification. You get it through an email, but it definitely shows up on the HubSpot platform. I am not familiar with any outages, right? As it relates to HubSpot. I'm not saying, of course, that is never going to happen, but to date, I'm not familiar with any outages, and I've been pretty impressed with the way that they really operate and communicate with all of their users as partners and users, as it relates to letting people know what is happening when. And there's even a feed. There's a specific feed. So when things are in a midst, there's a daily update that you can go on to. They give you a timeline to say, okay, this is when the problem started, and at 10 o'clock we were able to fix this part, or at 11 o'clock we were able to fix here. And then 5 o'clock in the afternoon, everything was eventually fixed, and they give you the full troubleshoot breakdown. All right. Roger is saying, great. Roger, that is excellent. So Roger just said, well, he just became a HubSpot user as we spoke. And that's excellent, right? And what I would want you guys to do is that every one of you all that is interested in becoming a user, please let me know, all right? So that I'll be able to now link you guys within the platform falling into the Caribbean region. And what I'll be doing consistently after this is giving consistent updates. So what's going to be happening from now until, excuse me. So from now until, until maybe I decide to stop, right? I'm going to be now discussing like for instance, sales strategies outside of the platform that falls in the platform. Because again, you have to sell. You have to be able to put the information out there. You have to be able to structure information in a particular way. Like for instance, me doing this has nothing to do with HubSpot, but I use HubSpot to push it. And I have everybody's information and level of interaction as to how many times you guys would have been here. That means that I can easily say, I can pull with my team now and I can say, you know what? Let's look at everybody who's visited who's come to all of our sessions and see how engaged that they are. And we can have individual sessions with them about HubSpot or about our services. Again, remember, we are in this business to sell. Yeah. But we want to sell, in a very crafty way, right? In a very crafty way so that we have an idea as to, we are nurturing the customer towards making the dollars at the end of the day. All right. And last but not least, Kevin is saying that I joined last weekend, but haven't done a lot. So yes, so I'll definitely link you with that, Kevin. As I say, my goal last year when I was speaking to Brian Halligan from HubSpot, he's one of the co-founders of HubSpot. He asked me last year, what is my vision? Now, I'm not exclusive to HubSpot. I'm not exclusive to HubSpot being in the region, but he said, what is your vision? Like, how do you see HubSpot impacting in the Caribbean region? And I told him, I said, listen, within the next year or two, I will definitely want to bring everybody from HubSpot, everybody from the Caribbean into HubSpot, not just as users, but to carry you guys to a platform called Inbound, right? Now, the thing is with that is that I didn't even know that we had so many inactive users, because there are a lot of people who've had it, but didn't understand how to use it. And that has been really where the challenge is. And the good thing is that with that, I've definitely been able to, so far, because of the fact that you guys have been giving me an ear, which I really do appreciate, is to share with you all, as to what the strategy should be. Because again, a number of people would have taken HubSpot from before, but not understood how to use it. And that is the difference that I'm really trying to make, because we really do have a lot of people. It's like people having your phones. You have your phone very techy, but some of us only use it to make phone calls. I've had too many people, when I do certain things on my phone, they say, how you do that with your phone? I can't do that with my phone. I say, yeah, you can do it. You just don't know how to do it. You don't use it. You don't maximize the use of your platform. All right? So, and yes, HubSpot connects WhatsApp as well. That falls into a third party. But I will share maybe a little bit more of that through a follow-up email, right? I know for the sake of time, we're running just a little over 10 minutes now, but I'll definitely want to say, guys, thank you, all right? And my call to action will be this for you all, right? When I send when I send you all the replay, if there's anyone that you all believe that would get value out of this as well, please feel free to share it. But of course, if you have any information, you want to understand more as to how to align this thing properly to your business, please let me know, all right? I'm always open in terms of just having that discussion with you all about your business and about really maximizing the platform and getting for you all to be able to get the best out of it and GROW, all right, which is grow. All right, guys, take care. Have an excellent weekend. It's Friday, TGIF, right? And peace. You're welcome, Gina. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.